when we talk about diet, exercise, stress reduction, and group support as the four pillars, diet's fairly self-evident with all its complexity. Exercise, again, self-evident with all its different types. Stress reduction, fairly self-evident. Group support is a place that is inhabited by some things. Like Dean Ornish talks about finding love as, and I'm a huge believer in the power of love and healing.
Absolutely.
Just huge. But because, and just to riff on that for a minute, we both know, there are a few things in the world that are more completely transformative of psyche and biology than love, And throughout our lifetimes, it comes in many forms, but it never goes away. I mean, you can end up with a pet dog with which you have a transformative love experience, I know that.
My wife dogs are the best producers of unconditional love.
Right, exactly. So it comes in many forms. But there's not only love there's also finding meaning in life. And again, you quote Viktor Frankl in this book, and you quote William James on the importance of finding meaning. And William James talks so much about the once born and the twice born and how powerful meaning as well as love is. Then the third dimension, which may or not be buried here, or maybe it belongs with toxins as a sixth piece, is the whole issue of transpersonal spiritual reality, which remains outside of polite scientific discourse.
Yes.
But there's a lot of intriguing evidence scientifically.
Yes.
And my God, it's there, So I just wanted to, these are things that we both kind of take for granted, but sort of unpacking, quote, group support as including the transformative power of love, the transformative power of finding meaning, what Larry LeShan talked about as, the survivors a great cancer psychologist, that, the people he saw survive were the people who found their own unique songs in life.
Or they revisited the dreams of their youth.
Exactly.
And implemented them, and a very significant percentage of them had remissions from advanced cancers.
Right.
With no other intervention.
Right.
They wanted to be an artist. Their parents told them they needed to go to law school because artists would starve. He said, "What do you got to lose?" They start sculpting or painting and get lost in it and love it. And that creative expression, I mean, that's a big part of what you do here.
It is a huge part of what we do.
It is to find that.
Right.
And that probably should be codified, is creative expression.
Yes.
I think we underestimate that. You probably don't, but at large, we do. I've seen the patients that I've worked with, the prognostic signs that someone is going to do well who has an incurable advanced cancer is that I would give them a pretty complex regimen to follow. They would come back and say, "I'm doing all of that. What else can I do?" They would quit a job that they didn't like if they didn't like it. They would get divorced if they were in an unhappy relationship. I've often said there's few things that will bring the priorities in your life into sharp focus as a cancer diagnosis. And the people who act on those kinds of things and just make new friends and go away from toxic relationships in general, these were the people who would do well. And the converse is the people who I would give a complex protocol to, and they come back and say, "It's so hard, and I don't like the food, and the supplements are so expensive," and they would complain about why they couldn't do it, and they wouldn't change the things that were off in their life. And all I could do is be compassionate because I knew they weren't going to do well.